Welcome to another episode on our channel. Today it's all about Zorro, which is a completely customized figure on my end. I passed on getting it from Blitzway when it came out. It looked super cool. I really wanted it, but there were other things I wanted instead. And I thought it would be around for a while, and you blink, it's gone. It's out of stock. You can't get it at a halfway decent price. And even back then, it was still high. And it's only gone up since. So if you look on eBay right now, you'll probably find 3 Blitzway Zorros, one at $450, another one at $575, and one for $890. I don't know why the disparity in prices, but it may get down to how good the art box is, or if they're missing pieces or what have you, but I haven't looked into that. But regardless, that's more than I would like to spend for Zorro. And I noticed a while back that they were offering on eBay, and they still may be offering, you still may find them, Antonio Banderos, his head sculpt on eBay at really good prices. I thought, let me try to customize Zorro. So I have black pants, pirate-like boots. You can just take normal boots, put a piece of leather along the top to make it look like pirate or Zorro boots. A shirt. The cape I got off of eBay. It was a hooded cape. Now Zorro does not wear a hooded cape, but what I did is I carefully cut out the hood, and with the hood I made the head cover, and you'll see a bit more of that when we kind of go around. But the head cover, actually, let me just show it to you from the side so you can see it. Yeah, so I'm not going to pose them this way because I think you lose the illusion of Zorro when you have the mask on and the hat or the head covering on. So I will always pose them without the head covering and without the mask and without a hat. And the hat I have doesn't have the gold stuff around it. I can't figure out exactly what the design looks like, so I can't really replicate it yet. But this hat is a Johnny West hat of some form, and it's not big enough to fit over the head covering. But it will fit over the head without the head covering. Still, I'm going to pose him without the mask, without the head covering, without the hat. But I wanted you to know you could make the head covering with the hood of the cape. And that's exactly what I did. The mask is actually made out of resin, so my husband was instrumental in making that piece. And I just put elastic around it so it would stay in place. And I put the head covering a little over the mask to take away the thickness of the resin in terms of the mask. With the cape, what I did is I had a military officer uniform that had some buttons on it, and I didn't need all the buttons, or some fell off over time, and I had some extra buttons that were silver, so I sewed that into the cape. A thin piece of necklace cut to fit, and tied that in place. So I have the hood with, the attachment there. And it looks pretty close to what you would have with Zorro. The necklace, used the same piece of necklace I used here for the hood, used a piece to make the necklace. What I did is I used Magic Sculpt. And what I did is I took a little piece rolled it into a ball. So let me get back here. Rolled it into a ball, and then it just pressed on it until it was flat, got it into an oval shape. And then I took a pin to try to replicate the design here and tried to kind of do a swirly thing, just like the design there. And that does not work. It starts moving the clay or whatever you want to call it, the sculpty stuff, into a different shape. So what I had to do is just basically use pin pricks to go all the way around and do the swirl design. So this was very patient, started at the outer edge, used little pricks until I could make a full circle and then a smaller circle within the circle, a smaller circle. So it was a swirly thing, but with pricks. Then painted it silver like this and put a red dot in the middle. Attached it with super glue to a necklace. Actually, oh yeah, I put a little ring with super glue around this piece and then threaded the necklace through that piece. So that worked out very nicely. So he has his cape, and the hood became his head cover. A resin mask was used for the mask with elastic to keep it in place. The one thing I did try to make was the belt that was on Zorro, but I just don't like the way it looks on him. So I'm taking artistic liberties, and I just used a piece of material that kind of like a sash and another belt to which the sword is attached. And then on the other side is a lasso, and we'll get close-ups of all these things, which was formed out of a bangle. You've seen me do this before. The bangle is just a fancy word for bracelet, and on this particular bangle, there's a thick piece that I can use to make into a belt. There's a braided piece that I have used to make into a laurel wreath. You know, you can basically cut it to the right size, super glue it together, and it'll hold its form. It won't break apart. You can put it on somebody's head, paint it gold or silver, whatever you want to paint it to put on a person's head, and it will stay in place. But the rounded pieces, what I did is I took 3 of these pieces, made circles, put them together. At the end of one of these pieces, I took a little piece of the braided part to form the handle of the whip or the lasso. And we'll get a close-up of that so you can see that a bit more clearly. So what I think we'll do is get them on a tray, turn tray, see them from different angles, and then get a few close-ups so I can show you the handiwork that it took to get them together. Then I'm going to take the mask off, the headpiece off, so you can actually see the head. We are back, and we're just going to show you some profile shots of him. So here he is from one side, and here he is from the other side. All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll first get a close-up of his lasso, then we'll move to the piece that connects his cape and his necklace, and then up to his face. So we'll pause it. So here's a good view of the lasso. You can see the circular pieces which are attached together, and this end here is a braided piece that kind of looks like a handle. It may not be perfect, but it works for me. So there you go, the lasso. So here's a better close-up of Zorro, my customized figure. You can see a few more details from the sword that he has here in his sheath. It's not made out of metal or anything, it's plastic, but it looks good. His belt, his sash, you can see on that side the lasso. But you also can see a bit more clearly his necklace and the attachment that keeps his cape in place. You can also see his mask a bit better than bandana or head covering. Again, I was amazed that I could take the hood and do this. It's not perfect, but acceptable. So we'll get a close-up of his face, which will show you more details about the necklace and the tie that goes to his cape. And then I will take these things off because I'm not going to pose him with these things on, because I lose the effect of seeing Antonio Banderos that way. So we'll pause now and get a close-up of his face. You can now see his eyes through the mask itself, the elastic that goes around his head for the mask. You can see the head cover. And again, we can go from side to side so you can see it a bit better in the back. And on this side as well. So that's the hood of the cape. And so it lines up in terms of matching everything. You can see the necklace. You can see the swirl on the necklace, hopefully. And that's all pin pricks, just making that design. You can't put your pin in and do the twirly. It won't work that way. On the sides of the attachment that connects the cape on two ends are two buttons through which a necklace was positioned, a piece of a necklace. And then, of course, the necklace with the twirly design on it, painted silver with a red dot on the inside. So I think he came out actually quite well. I certainly did not pay anything close to $450, anything close to the original cost of the figure when it first came out. Like I said, with the boots, what you can do is take a piece of leather, put it at the top of the boot, and that will start to look like a Zorro boot or a pirate boot. Black pants, a black shirt, the cape, a hooded cape that you can cut the hood off very carefully and make the head covering. The mask is going to be the most challenging thing. If you do want to pose Zorro with a mask, for me, that loses the effect of the characters. So I'm not going to pose him with a mask. But I do have a mask. It's made out of resin. My husband made it. And yeah, so I think he turned out rather well. So we'll pause now and we'll get a further away shot with him without the mask and the head covering on. So you can actually see it is Antonio Banderos. So I actually think this is a great head sculpt of Antonio Banderos and good enough for me to be invested in trying to customize him. Yeah, I think it turned out quite well. The hat will fit, although it's still a touch too small. You have to kind of push it on. But the hat will fit, but it's still not wide enough as compared to the movie. And of course, I would have to figure out how to get the design on around the hat. So this is how I would choose to pose him without the mask and without the head cover and without a hat. So we'll pause now and get a tighter close-up of him. I don't know who exactly made this head, but whoever did a great job. It's a pass for me. I've given you tips on how to create this customized Zorro. You can go back and review what I said about the boots, the cape, and so forth. But the heads are still available as far as I know on eBay, and if you did want to customize this, it shouldn't be very difficult to do. Probably the hardest thing is if you really want to have a mask, is finding a mask that will work. And the next hardest thing will be finding a sword that looks appropriate. And a belt, actually. That would be the third thing. Here's one final look at our customized Zorro with his mask, his head cover, his incomplete hat. But this is how I will pose him. I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you have, consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, everyone, please have a great day.